Have you ever wondered about the one death that changed the world forever? We're not talking about a king, a conqueror, or a philosopher, but a humble carpenter from a small town. This is the story of Jesus Christ, a story that has echoed through to millennia, shaping civilizations and inspiring billions. But how did his life, and more importantly, his death, become the most influential event in human history? Let's uncover the profound mystery behind the death of Jesus Christ. The story begins not with his death, but with his words. Jesus wasn't just a teacher, he was a master storyteller. He spoke in parables, simple yet profound tales that anyone could understand. Think of the Good Samaritan, a story that completely redefined what it means to be a neighbor. Or the Prodigal Son, a beautiful picture of forgiveness and unconditional love. His words weren't just wise sayings, they were revolutionary. He spoke with an authority that captivated crowds and challenged the religious leaders of his day. He taught about a kingdom of God, a reality where the last would be first, and the first would be last. He spoke of loving your enemies, turning the other cheek, and a radical kind of grace that was unheard of. His message was simple: love God, and love your neighbor as yourself. These weren't just words, they were invitations into a new way of living, a new way of seeing the world, and everyone in it. But Jesus didn't just talk, he acted. Miracles followed him wherever he went. The Gospels are filled with accounts of incredible healings. Imagine being there, seeing a man who had been blind from birth suddenly open his eyes to the light for the first time, or a woman who had been sick for 12 long years, instantly healed by just touching the hem of his garment. He calmed a raging storm with a single command, fed thousands of people with just a few loaves and fishes, and even raised people from the dead. These weren't magic tricks, they were signs, pointing to something much bigger. They demonstrated his power over sickness, nature, and even death itself. Each miracle was an act of compassion, a glimpse into the heart of God. It was his way of showing that the kingdom he spoke of wasn't just a future promise. It was breaking into the present, bringing healing and wholeness to a broken world. Naturally, a man who spoke with such authority and performed such miracles attracted a massive following. People from all walks of life were drawn to him. There were the fishermen Peter, Andrew, James, and John who left their nets and their livelihoods to follow him. There was Matthew, a despised tax collector, who walked away from his wealth to become a disciple. There were women like Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Susanna, who supported his ministry out of their own resources. These weren't perfect people. They were ordinary, flawed individuals. They argued, they doubted, they misunderstood him, yet Jesus chose them. He invested in them, taught them, and called them his friends. He formed a new kind of family, a community bound not by blood, but by faith in him. This diverse group of followers was a living, breathing example of the very kingdom he preached: a community where everyone was welcome, forgiven, and loved. But where there is great light, shadows often gather. As Jesus' popularity grew, so did the opposition. The religious authorities, the Pharisees and Sadducees, saw him as a threat. He challenged their traditions, exposed their hypocrisy, and claimed an authority that they believed belonged to God alone. The political tension was thick, Roman rule was heavy, and many Jews longed for a Messiah who would be a military leader, one who would overthrow their oppressors. Jesus, with his talk of a spiritual kingdom and loving your enemies, was not the Messiah they were expecting. The pressure mounted, and the stage was set for a final, tragic confrontation in Jerusalem. Amidst this growing hostility, the most painful blow came not from his enemies, but from within his inner circle. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, one who had walked with Jesus, listened to his teachings, and witnessed his miracles, chose to betray him. For 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave, Judas led the temple guards to Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. The betrayal was sealed with a kiss, a sign of friendship twisted into an act of treachery. This moment is one of the most heartbreaking in the entire story. It highlights the depth of human brokenness and the painful reality that even those closest to us can cause the deepest wounds. Why did Judas do it? The Bible doesn't give a simple answer. Was it greed? Disillusionment? Political motives? We may never know for sure, but his actions set in motion the final, fateful events of Jesus' life. What's truly astonishing is that none of this caught Jesus by surprise. On multiple occasions, he told his disciples exactly what was going to happen. He predicted that he would be handed over to the authorities, that he would suffer greatly, be rejected, and ultimately, be killed in Jerusalem. Can you imagine the confusion and fear his followers must have felt? They couldn't comprehend it. How could their powerful Messiah, the one who calmed storms and raised the dead, be defeated and killed? They tried to rebuke him, to talk him out of it, but Jesus was resolute. He knew his purpose. He wasn't a victim of circumstance. He was walking a path he had chosen. He explained that his death was necessary, that it was a ransom, a sacrifice. He was laying down his life willingly, for a purpose far greater than anyone could understand at the time. Then came the crucifixion. After a series of sham trials, mocked, beaten, and crowned with thorns, Jesus was forced to carry his own cross to a place called Golgotha, the place of the skull. There, he was nailed to the cross between 2 criminals. Crucifixion was a Roman method of execution designed to be as painful and humiliating as possible. It was a public spectacle meant to deter rebellion. As he hung there for hours, he endured unimaginable physical agony. Yet, even in his suffering, his character shone through. He prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He offered hope to one of the criminals crucified beside him, promising him paradise. He made sure his mother would be cared for. And finally, with the words, "It is finished," he breathed his last. The sky grew dark, the earth shook, and the curtain in the temple was torn in two. It seemed like the end. The light of the world had been extinguished. His followers were scattered, terrified, and heartbroken. All their hopes were buried with him in a borrowed tomb. But the story doesn't end in that tomb. This is where everything changes. 3 days later, on a Sunday morning, some of the women who followed Jesus went to the tomb to anoint his body. But when they arrived, they found the massive stone rolled away and the tomb empty. An angel appeared and gave them the most stunning news in human history. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Risen. It was unbelievable, impossible. But then, the impossible started happening. Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene in the garden. He appeared to his disciples huddled in a locked room. He walked with 2 of them on the road to Emmaus. He even appeared to a crowd of more than 500 people at one time. This wasn't a ghost or a hallucination. He ate with them, talked with them, and showed them the wounds in his hands and his side. The resurrected Jesus was real. The resurrection is the cornerstone of the Christian faith. It's the ultimate plot twist, the victory that turned the tragedy of the cross into the greatest triumph. It proved that everything Jesus said about himself was true. He had conquered sin, death, and the grave. His death wasn't a defeat. It was the sacrifice that paid the price for humanity's brokenness. And his resurrection was the guarantee of new life, a promise that death is not the end for those who trust in him. It transformed his fearful, scattered followers into bold witnesses who would go on to change the world. The death of Jesus isn't just a historical event. It's a personal invitation. It's an invitation to experience the same forgiveness, hope, and new life that his first followers discovered. It's the story of how the greatest tragedy became the world's greatest hope. So, the death of Jesus Christ is more than just a story from an ancient book. It's the central event that splits history in two, from BC to AD. It's an event that continues to challenge and transform lives today. From his revolutionary words and miraculous healings to the painful betrayal and his own predictions, every detail points to a purpose. His death on the cross wasn't an accident. It was an act of ultimate love. And his resurrection from the grave wasn't just a comeback. It was the ultimate proof that love is stronger than death. This is the story that has given hope to billions, inspiring countless acts of charity, art, and sacrifice. It's the reason why a humble carpenter's death, 2,000 years ago, is still the most powerful and life-changing story ever told. Thank you for watching. If this story has impacted you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the greatest stories ever told.